The noble dog, Graf, was lost in thought as he watched the car drive away. So this is how it happens, he mused, how unwanted dogs are discarded, taken to unfamiliar places and left behind. He understood perfectly that it was foolish to chase after them. He had become a burden to his owners, and he didn't have much strength left. The pit bull slowly approached a large, sprawling tree and lay down, resting his powerful head on his paws, heaved a heavy sigh, and began to remember. His owner had taken him in as a tiny puppy, eager to start training him as early as possible. He wanted to turn the dog into a champion fighter, and Graf had tried hard. Most of his life, he fought in the arena. The only rule in these fights was simple: fight to the death, if not you, then your opponent. People found pleasure in this. They craved adrenaline and placed large bets. The winners made a lot of money, and Graf won despite numerous injuries and wounds, but he brought profits to his owner. With each fight, his health deteriorated, and soon he stopped being profitable. He became unwanted. The dog was very intelligent and well-mannered, despite having witnessed nothing but cruelty throughout his life. He held no grudge against people. He simply didn't know that another life existed. After resting, the pit bull got up and walked down the street. He moved aimlessly, mechanically, noting how rare passers-by avoided him. He looked aggressive, but he was aware of it. His thoughts scattered and were abruptly interrupted. Graf stopped and listened. Near a shop, a small group of hooligans surrounded a fragile girl of about 10. Her cries caught the dog's attention. The boys were taking the money that had been given to the girl for sweets. The tears of the little one only amused the boys. They thought nothing of it, believing her parents would give her more. People walked by, but no one cared about the girl. No one felt it necessary to stop and inquire what was happening. Graf was hardened by battles and fierce with opponents, but he didn't know what to do in such situations. He had not been taught to protect, only to kill. But justice was ingrained in the fighter's genetics, so he slowly approached the girl and simply stood beside her. He waited for further developments, and the hooligans, seeing Graf, shrank back and, stumbling over one another, hurriedly retreated, leaving the girl with her money. They decided that he was her dog. The young stranger stopped crying. She hurried to thank her savior and did something that the pit bull never expected. She crouched down and hugged him around the neck, expressing her gratitude. Her tear-streaked cheek pressed against his powerful chest. Graf froze. He didn't understand how to react. No one had ever treated him like this in his entire life. The dog tried to gently free himself from her embrace, panting heavily. The girl let him go, and kneeling in front of him, she began to stroke his head. She said something sweet, that he was smart, kind, strong, and good. Her hand brushed over his numerous scars, and the girl grew sad. It was clear that the dog had been beaten. Graf was completely bewildered. No adult would have thought to treat a serious fighting dog like this. But the little girl simply didn't know. Finally, the little one left him alone and ran into the shop. While Graf pondered what had just happened, she returned, but instead of sweets, she brought sausages. The dog cautiously accepted the treat, surprised by the fragility of her small hand, and then his new friend ran home, leaving Graf alone. Lying on the alley beside the shop, he gazed thoughtfully into the distance. It was a strange day. He had lost his owner but had gained a new friend and, for the first time in his life, experienced affection. He needed time to process all of this. A few days later, the girl appeared again. Graf recognized her from afar. She treated him with sausage brought from home, and then invited him to take a walk with her, and he went. From that day on, the girl and the dog often walked together, reaching the park and the river, playing or simply sitting close to each other. Graf felt wonderful emotions. They were new to him, and he couldn't believe that such friendship existed. One day, the girl came not alone. A man was holding her hand, her father, as Graf would later guess. When he saw the dog, he was horrified. It was evident in his eyes. The daughter constantly spoke of her new friend, calling him a good and kind dog, and the father was not prepared to see this monster with a broad chest and strong legs firmly planted on the ground. The girl chattered on about how this dog had saved her from the hooligans and that he was the best and should be taken home. The father disagreed. After all, it was still a serious and dangerous breed. The little one pleaded and cried, and her dad promised that he and her mom would think about it. Graf saw and understood that people were deciding his fate, but he only observed silently. His friends stopped coming, and the dog lost interest in life, aimlessly wandering the streets, Feeling neither hunger nor thirst, he had grown accustomed to deprivation and pain. A whole week passed before Graf saw the girl again. She was very cheerful, dancing and hurrying, and the same man, her beloved daddy, was walking beside her. Graf didn't know that it took an entire week of persuasion, tears, and promises for the parents to relent. No, they were not against having a pet and were even ready to buy their daughter any animal, but not a pit bull, a grim, serious dog. But their daughter turned out to be as much of a fighter as the dog she chose. She didn't want another dog, she loved Graf, and they had to agree. In the end, they never regretted their decision for a moment. Graf turned out to be calm, well-mannered, and completely undemanding. He treated the girl incredibly tenderly and was always by her side. During a Sunday outing in nature, they encountered Graf's former owner. Seeing the large tinted car, Graf tensed and became alert. A man stepped out, inquiring about a passage through the woods. And then he saw the dog. He recognized him, called him, gave commands, but the dog did not move. When the girl's father explained where they got the dog, the man calmly stated that he had left him as punishment. The dog had started to perform poorly and lose fights. The little girl was still too young to grasp the seriousness of the situation. She desperately defended her dog, insisting that she wouldn't let anyone harm her friend. The owner threatened with a lawsuit and carelessly took a step toward the girl. At that moment, Graf, standing calmly, growled and positioned himself protectively in front of her. The next threatening gesture toward the father, and the dog clamped his iron jaws around the man's wrist. Cursing and threatening, the former owner got back into the car and hastily drove away, clutching his wound. When the father turned to his daughter, he saw her embracing her fierce protector, who was grinning widely. Dad silently approached the dog and quietly said, "Your daughter was right. You really are the best dog." The family enjoyed their time together. The girl picked wildflowers, wove a wreath, and placed it on Graf's head, giving him a loud kiss on his serious muzzle. Graf was happy he had beloved people, and he felt that he was loved in return. And what else does a dog need? The dog sighed contentedly. After all, life is a good thing.